Okay, good morning. I'm going to do a little eval here. This is Jerry. He sent me this. This was a Ride Like a Pro competition, and this was Jerry's speed run. This was November 30th, 2021. So my goal here this morning is to just kind of walk you through. He had sent me these video links and just wanted some feedback on them, how he could ride a little quicker, what I was seeing that maybe would help him ride a little bit better. So I just want to point out, this is my eval. I want to support this guy. I want him to feel empowered by riding and getting feedback from me, not that he's being criticized and that, I'm sitting here hammering on him. So with that spirit in mind, I'm going to go through and nitpick the hell out of this if I can, in ways to have him maybe glean some insights and ride a little bit better or practice different. So, all right. So this is a speed event. The first thing to think about is when they say go and the clock starts on your movement, this is like a drag race out of the hole. You're going to be pushing pretty hard. That's my objective. If I can just get 2 feet in front of you, just in this little teeny push that I'm getting right here, then I beat you. If I do nothing different. So the start is important. So push hard. So if you watch him take off here, I'm not seeing any body movement that indicates he's got his weight forward and he's pushing pretty hard. Okay, so I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit. So if you see that, did you watch that? That's just kind of a smooth takeoff, like we were taking off from a red light. Nothing fancy there, nothing pushing. Okay. So another thing I'm going to talk about, anything that is not a turn is a drag race spot. So if I can, so right here, he's doing this little shoot here. Excuse me. If I can get a foot in front of you, just from this spot here, I beat you. So a foot here and a foot here, you do a motor competition, and now I beat you by 90 feet. Why? Well, I just put a little bit more throttle in these spots. So it's important for you to recognize body position. I do the balance ball demo. So that's staying centered on the bike. So if your weight's not centered on the bike, it's not going to make sense or really feel natural to accelerate. So in this case, he's just straight up and down in the saddle. His arms are locked. He needs to accelerate a little bit harder, and he would benefit from that. So we're just going to go through here again. And look at his weight. Is he over the bike, balanced? No, I would say that's inside. He might be feeling like he's counterbalancing a little bit, but that's not a significant counterbalance. That bike's leaned over, his weight's on the inside. If he lost the front end, he would most likely hit the pavement. Why is that important? Because again, we want to stay on top of that bike and feel as smooth and comfortable as possible, so that we can accelerate, we can push the tires, whatever we need to do, and the bike's fine, and we're going to keep moving. So if you noticed right there, his arms kind of locked out, his weight sort of fell backwards a little bit. Why is that important? Again, body position. So now you'll see little micro adjustment here. So you see him turn the bars. You see him turn the bars and then kind of make a little adjustment. You see his weight shift a little bit. That is, we talk about deconstructing a pattern. You need to have walked this course, made notes in your mind, practiced it, and figured out where does the bike placement need to be. In a motor competition, that's a timed event where I get either a penalty for hitting anything or a bonus for not hitting anything. I do, in my mind, what's called steering to the outside cone. So yes, it's good to go as fast as you can and make this course as tight and short as you can, but you want not to hit anything. So don't get greedy. So if there are situations where I might be getting close to an inside cone with a saddlebag, you want to make sure that you're swinging wide. That hundredths of a second you're going to lose by cutting in on this one section is not worth the risk of hitting something and losing a penalty or losing the opportunity for a bonus. So let's just look at body position here. So here we go. Is he right centered over the bike? He's counterbalancing a little bit. Could he be counterbalancing quite a bit more? Yes. Also, his body position is more or less straight up and down on the saddle. if this were me, my head would be somewhere over here. It'd be about a foot further forward. Why? It's putting weight over the front tire so that I'm not going to lose it, so I can push the bike faster in a circle because I have more weight on the front wheel. And of course, I'm more centered and balanced on the bike if for whatever reason I do lose that front wheel. And again, remember, more weight on the front wheel, even though these are Beamers or telelever, you're still loading that front and often getting more weight on the front wheel, which is changing the geometry a little bit, which is helping these bikes turn a little bit quicker. So it's really a combination of things that benefit us when we get up over the bike. Okay, so you heard the clutch come in. It sounds like the clutch came all the way in there, so we're coasting now. That's not good. Why? If you're coasting, it's telling me a couple things. Telling me, A, you could have accelerated harder, and also you're unloading the tires and the motorcycle, so it's just freewheeling. You want load on the wheels on this motorcycle because it'll get better traction and it upsets the chassis less, okay? Also, the bike's falling over in its natural weight. It's just falling over. We're not pushing the bike down. We're not controlling that fall. What's dangerous there is we're just kind of letting gravity do its thing and we're reacting to it. That's not how I would recommend we do that. When we're coming around a turn like that and we're throwing the bike over, we put the bike down, we get on top of the ball and balance on the motorcycle, and then we pick that thing back up with the clutch and power as we go. So just watch this, listen to the motor through here. We could have accelerated harder in the straight part and no coasting. Now, this is an important section. Listen to the motor. Tell me what's wrong here. Listen to the motor right here. Did we hear that? So here's what's wrong with this. Listen. Through all these, tight cone patterns, I get it. You're in that friction zone on the clutch. But when we have an opportunity to accelerate this motorcycle, that clutch is all the way out and we're drag racing. Is this these Beamers, these Harleys, these bikes are fast and they move quick. Let that clutch all the way out. This is a drag race. Again, I'm going to beat you by a couple feet right here just because I'm letting the clutch all the way out and pushing the motorcycle. That's all. Just this section right here, I've beat you only because I've let the clutch all the way out. Listen to the motor. So he didn't let the clutch all the way out, and now he's still only halfway down this drag race spot, and he's already off the gas, clutch in, coasting, and starting to work on the front brake. I'll talk a little bit more about the front brake. He does not cover the front brake. So all that tells me is when he's coming into these sections, he could be on the gas a little bit longer before he transitions to getting on the brakes and overlapping controls. But we don't even need that, and we're still, we could be miles further down this course, just working on a few of these little points.
You know his bike's so quiet?
So yes, he's counterbalancing. There's a great example. He's counterbalancing. He could be counterbalancing more and pushing the bike a little bit more. By pushing the bike a little bit more, I mean a little bit more on the gas, a little bit more over the front tire, carrying more momentum around turns.
He can hear you, right?
His fall over, again, it's just gravity. We're not using the clutch or any energy to transition the bike from one side to the other. We're just letting gravity and momentum move it over at whatever pace it is. And if you do that, the problem is you think, well, you're not going to transition the bike any faster than I'm already doing it. Well, gravity isn't going to, but you can using your feet on the floorboards or pegs, using the clutch to pop the bike up and transition it from one side to the other. There are ways to move that bike quicker in transitions, and when you do that, it really speeds up the motorcycle and effectively makes these courses much simpler to get around. Again, I understand it's sort of a chicane here, but we could be carrying a lot more momentum all through this. We're just cruising through here. Every time there's even a 5-foot section that isn't a turning movement, drag race, pop that clutch out, move the bike forward. If I can beat you by 1 inch, I've just beat you and I get first and you get second, okay? So we talk about transitions. Watched all this here. That was all gravity. That's all gravity. So if we stay on top of the bike, we push with our feet, we pop that clutch, we do rapid transitions, we're gonna go through here considerably quicker. So I'm not gonna harp on that, but transitions are huge. So you can go faster, but you gotta get the bike to move around quicker. People that are watching this are also going to note that Jerry's not turning his head. I don't know if that's an injury thing or it's a flexibility thing, but yes, you're correct. He's not moving his head a lot. But getting your head around is a big component. Usually where getting your head around matters is, hey, just getting through a tight section. You got to get your head around, full lock, and drop the bike over. In his case, he's getting through this course okay. The advantage to getting your head around a little bit quicker is going to be speeding things up. It's just like driving 60 miles an hour through a canyon road when you're looking right over the dashboard of your car. Things are going to come up quick. You're not going to anticipate what's happening, and it's going to force you to have to slow down. So in his case, what I'm seeing the issue with no good head turn is it's slowing him down, but it's also causing him to have to make micro adjustments. So he's in a section and then you'll see the bike kind of either lift up or drop over a little more. In any case, it's upsetting the chassis, which is dangerous when you start trying to go faster. And what it also really does is slow you down. It's that simple. And not to mention risking hitting stuff. So this section, look at that section. Why aren't we accelerating here? All that's free space. If you can accelerate in little simple spots, just a little bit, it's free. Why? It's not a technical area. You're not going to risk hitting anything. Just get on the throttle and dump that clutch out. And again, that's where covering the front brake is going to help, because in some of these patterns, even if it's a timed run, these guys come in and they're just on the rear brake, or they're just kind of cruising. They're carrying momentum, but they're not driving the bike. So getting on the brakes, getting on the front brakes a little bit harder and a little bit later will help. One other point I want to mention while I'm watching this, just think about this. You start in a tight cone pattern and you ride through the pattern. That's awesome. If you ride the tight sections like you ride the fast straight sections, which a lot of guys do, you're losing an opportunity to really knock down your time. Point being, you get in there, you're in the gray area, you're in that friction zone with the clutch, you're going at whatever moderate pace for this tight stuff. Then the course opens up and your brain is still on tight friction zone. That's where you need to take these cone patterns and open your mind to the idea. The objective is to go as fast as I can through here. No, I can't necessarily pick up pace on the tight stuff, but maybe where it opens up, you need to free your mind from that friction zone, slow speed stuff, and open your mind to the idea that actually, race, speed, fast, drive, win, okay? Two different mindsets through these cone patterns. It's not all slow and tight. So you see that little adjustment. I'm gonna point something out here. So we talk about deconstructing a cone pattern. So this section that he's at, and it's not really easy for you guys to see, but there is a lot of space over here. So he does a good job in keeping the pattern tight. The problem is when he gets over here, it bites him. So this is an example of me saying deconstruct the pattern. So I have a video posted on this. If you know where you want to be in a section, you have to work backwards and figure out where you have to be positioned in the portion prior to, so that your bike hits the marks that it needs to hit, okay? You don't want to ride through a cone pattern and just discover you're in the wrong place. Nor do you want to ride through a section and have to make a slow adjustment in order to get through a tighter section. You need to make that adjustment in the area prior. And now you have to ask yourself, okay, well, I want to be in this spot in this section. Where do I go now? You keep working backwards. So that's why I say deconstructing a motor pattern. Once you figure out where you want to be, you need to work backwards to continue to find all those spots on the course that you need to lay that motorcycle into in order to make sure that that dance is right. It's really a choreography, but it's a little bit of mental notes, and it's the math associated with this stuff. This isn't all just, hey, I'm a better rider than you. This is, I'm gonna think through this pattern maybe better than you and be a bit more academic about how I
prepare myself to get through this pattern. So because he didn't use all this section and kind of go deep, it bites him. So it bites him right in this where he's about to go to. So could he have pushed a little further out and had more of a straight line coming in here? It would have made, watch this sort of slow jog. See that? So you see him stand up the bike, adjust his body, and now he's falling over again. If he would have come a little wider and come through this chute a little bit more over to the right, to my right, or his left, that would have made that much simpler and smoother. Counterbalancing, again, it's okay. Head turn, okay. I do this thing called Ghost Rider. The idea with that Ghost Rider is that I'm looking ahead of the course about a second and a half from wherever it is that I'm on the course. So it's sort of like a ghost version of where Quinn Redeker would be a second and a half ahead of where he's sitting right now. And that's how I plant my head and eyes. I don't just say, okay, turn your head, turn your head. What the hell does that mean? What I say is, wherever I am, my head and eyes need to be about a second and a half ahead of the course. Well, how do I focus on that? So that's the idea, is I visualize myself, a little ghost version. Video games would do that. You do a lap around a course and then you'd see the ghost version of your best lap time, and that's kind of the chase car now. So I kind of use myself, I call Ghost Rider, it's sort of a chase car where I'm ahead of the course. And what it does is, rather than have you on the course where you're like moving pretty quick and you say, oh crap, I got to turn my head, and you do it as something that you maybe forgot to do, or maybe a section of the course came up quicker on you and then boom, you got to do it, you kind of got caught off guard. It creates more of a rollerball smooth effect when you turn your head. Much smoother, much faster, you don't get caught out. And then no matter how quick you go on a course, you're always in a good position in ahead of wherever you are on the course. Your head and eyes are ahead. So a lot of the same things we talked about. See, so there's that spot again. He has another one on those lefts. So same thing. Watch this. Could come in a little bit deeper here. Come in deeper here, so that he's not trapped right there. So big difference if he plans that better and understands where that bike needs to hit its mark. And now here is another area where, why aren't we accelerating? So we come through here. This is free space right here, guys. Free space right here.